Welcome, dear mover, to this new Floorwork Improver Sequence. This sequence has been designed for people who have some experience in flow work, namely anyone who has taken classes, taking the time to learn on their own, or who have been following the channel. Let's start with the warm-up, which I would advise you not to skip, just because I design my warm-ups in such a way that we are laying down the foundations and the patterns that we will use for the sequence. So the more you do the warm-up, and the easier the sequence will be. We'll start sitting down with both legs straight and bend them, going from one shin box to the other. From the shin box position, we are going to sit on the heel of the bottom leg and raise the knee of the opposite leg towards the ceiling. This is what we call a fisherman squat. Both the fisherman squat and the 90-90 are extremely important positions in flow work, so make sure that you are comfortable going from one to the other. And because I'm going to assume that you have some experience in flow work, do pay attention to the fine details here. It's not just about going from one position to the other, it's about how you perform that. Namely, make sure that you transfer the weight properly out of your hands and into your hand as you go from the fisherman squat to the 90-90, and make sure that the upper body is not leading that movement. From a crab position, with our pelvis off the floor, we are going to drop our knees down on the floor. If this is too hard, you can rest your butt on the floor, but ideally we want to start loading the wrists and push on both the feet and the hands to be off the floor. From that crab position again, we are going to bend one leg and extend the other, rotating outwards the foot of the extended leg. From that new position, we are going to sit our pelvis over the heel of the bent leg and keep the hand on the floor, the one that is on the side of the extended leg. Suddenly we find ourselves in the tripod, which you should be familiar with if you have been watching more videos of this channel. And again, the tripod is one very interesting position in flow work, so make sure that you spend plenty of time in that. What matters to us really is to sit on that heel. You don't want the heel to be down on the floor, because having this heel off the floor will allow you to propel yourselves into higher planes of motions and to generate momentum, which is extremely interesting if you want to be performing more acrobatic movements. I suggest that you swap your hands at the top of this tripod just to ensure that you are really sitting properly over the heel. From there, we're gonna lunge into our tripod, starting from standing up, bringing one hand down and the opposite foot on the floor. We are going to shoot the back leg forward and end up in a tripod. Again, if you're a bit more advanced, pay attention to the way your hand finds the floor and really allow your hips to drop. Your sternum and your pelvis should be looking at that front bent leg out of the lunge so that you can create space to shoot that back leg forward. It's not so much a linear lunge. From there, we are going to ramp things up and start performing a few fetus rolls. If you do not know how to perform those, I will refer you to my public video on YouTube, as well as my online course, which includes this and hundreds of more movements. Starting from the 90-90, we're gonna move to the belly roll, which again, you should be very familiar with if you have been watching other videos in my channel, or if you have taken my free course, which you will find a link to in the description below. If you're a bit more advanced, do not dismiss those movements. They are an excellent way to warm up many important body areas in flow work and to remind ourselves of the important rules that govern movement when it comes to moving across, to, and from the floor. For instance, here, we may want to pay attention to the way the hands find the floor, to sliding the feet from the beginning to the end, to segregating the upper body from the lower body, to relaxing the head in the process, and avoid tension building up in the neck. For this sequence, I'm going to suggest a variation in which we are going to slide forward the opposite arm from where we're going. So if your knees are facing the right in your 90-90, slide the left arm and allow that slide to bring your center of mass on the floor. Let's get to the core of the sequence now. We're going to start with a bump spin. The bump spin is one very important movement that teaches us the art of pivoting in Floorwork, and which is one of those central movements in my online course. To perform a bump spin, we are going to start in a 90-90 and place the hands on the side where the knees are facing. Loading those hands, we're going to release the legs and try to bring our feet towards our head, creating a small arching in the lower back and lowering our chest towards the floor in the process. We are on one hip bone and we're going to release the legs forward to start pivoting on our bum cheeks. What you are looking for here is proper weight placement around the hips and the bum cheeks, as well as effortlessness and efficiency of motion. Once you have understood the gist of that movement, you may want to try to create a loop and actually pivot on your bum as you go from one side to the other. From there, obviously, we can start spinning more, and I advise you to go for 180 degrees first and gradually build it up to 360. Now, one very interesting transition in this sequence is for us to be able to use the momentum out of a bump spin and transition into a tripod, the tripod that we saw in the warm-up. So what we are going to do at the end of your bump spin is to raise the knee of the back top leg in your 90-90 towards the ceiling and extend the opposite leg, that is the front bottom leg. From that leg position, you just have to push on the hand of the side of the extended leg to be in your tripod. So again, in a 90-90, we have the back upper leg and the front lower leg. Well, at the end of our bump spin, the front lower leg extends in front of us and the back upper leg anchors and bends so that its knee faces the ceiling. And that's the heel upon which you're going to sit. Now, this transition is not easy. I would advise you to go for a smaller bump spin, but well controlled, rather than getting out of control and losing your balance. Your mission is now to connect both movements together in a seamless way, using the momentum at the end of the bump spin to transition into a tripod, out of which you can perform the S-Relais, and there's a public tutorial for you dedicated just to this movement. Now, the classic way to use the bump spin is to start from a 90-90, but we can perform the same in a much more nuanced and non-telegraphed way out of a belly roll from a lying down position. So you're going to perform your belly roll just like we did in the warm-up. And as you get to the second hip, as you are pushing yourself back up into a 90-90 position, you are in the ideal position to throw the bump spin with your hands already on the floor and your legs ready to be released on the side. Start slow, but try to aim for an even sequence. I now need you to perform the exact same with the exception of the front bottom leg in the 90-90. We're going to extend that front bottom leg as we go into the bump spin and out of it. Once you have this, I would like you to sit on the foot of that bent leg with your pelvis over the heel. Surprise, surprise, as we have done before. So from the 90-90, in which we have an extended leg, we're going to sit over the heel of the bent leg. And if that's not comfortable, it's absolutely okay to actually go back into your full tripod, which, as we will see, is actually where we are taking this. So step by step, from that position, we place the hand on the side of the extended leg down on the floor. We are going to sit our butts on the side of the extended leg as both hands find the floor. From there, we perform a belly roll and we end up on the second hip, which is the position from which we want to throw the bump spin. Again, slowly. Right hand down, left leg extended. Left hand down, both hands down, perform the belly roll. You are on the right hip, perform the bump spin, finish in a tripod. We can take this all the way up to the actual tripod, exact same logic, with the hand down, release the foot, put the knee down, bring your pelvis down, and here you go again. The idea is to start from the lunge that we saw in the warm-up. The lunge brings you into a tripod from where you can perform the rest of the sequence we have seen so far by bringing the knee down, sitting on the side of the bent leg this time, bringing both hands down, performing the belly roll, performing the bum spin, performing the S-Holly. Now what you are trying to achieve to flow, to make this smooth, is some form of continuity. This extended leg here in the tripod should not stop as you perform the whole motion, which is the hard part about this movement and what I refer to in my courses as the rule of continuity. You can, just like in the whip, add some momentum from the tripod and slide your way into the desired foot position. So if you haven't, I invite you to play with that pattern with the whip tutorial, which you will find on the channel. And that is it for today. You have the second half of this big, beautiful sequence. I invite you to keep practicing those until you can be fluid and smooth from the beginning to the end and be able to execute them movements at one steady pace. If you want to find the rest of the sequence, I invite you to click on the link in the description and you will find this full tutorial as well as hundreds of other movements. I hope this was fun. If you have any question, you can hit me up in the comment section and I will do my best to get back to you. Till next time, have fun.